How'd it go today, Dan?
That was a very good workout. We had a very competitive group of guys in that I mean, this might have been one of the more draining workouts I think that we put a group through, and they fought through it, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
As the process goes along, do you notice that some of the guys are getting tired throughout it, or because it's
I
8 or 9 for some of them?
Exactly. It's a part of the process of the draft, and as the date draws near, that means they're getting upwards of anywhere from 5 to 15 workouts depending on the player. So fatigue is a big part of this at this point. So we got to just keep pushing them to give us their best, and the guys today, and they did it, and I think they approach it as a job interview, and they usually come out and they fight through it.
Go ahead.
Is your staff going to be traveling to any other smaller workouts, or are you guys seeing or brought in all the guys that you wanted to see in this process?
As a staff, we've gone out. Most of the agents hold their own pro day sort of thing where they get all their clients out in front of the front office personnel, and as a staff, we went out to all those. And
Is there more of those coming?
no, I think all of them have. There might be a couple more coming up, but yeah, for the most part, we've seen everyone that way, and then from there, how the schedules work out and how we're able to get guys up here. That's kind of what determines who we bring up here.
You've had a lot of older guys in that are probably more polished than a guy like Jonathan, but when you have someone like that in that's young and intriguing prospect, are you looking for something different from him in these workouts than you would be from, say, a senior that's here?
Not necessarily. I think you kind of approach everybody within the trying to say the perspective of what that one player brings, and I think John is definitely more of a long-term view for him. Like he's definitely going to be a project, but not in a bad way at all. So I think when you see what he's doing at the age of 19, and you have to compare it to what some of these guys were at 19 and what some of the guys that we're familiar with were at 19, and it helps you get an idea for where he might be able to get to with the proper development. And the older guys, it just kind of works out that when they come in, you try to get a feel for them with how much more can they improve, and where they're at now. They're definitely they know the game a little better. They know the coaching in terms of when our coaches are giving instructions, they're helping other guys get in the right spots and that sort of stuff. So there's definitely kind of more of a maturity with them, but at the same time, a lot of these guys, they haven't received NBA level instruction and development to where you can see with the proper investments in them, they're still going to be able to improve as well.
It seems from my perspective that you bring in a lot of high character guys. I imagine that's not by accident. Why is that so important, to have good guys like that?
I mean, I think when you're trying to set a culture of a good locker room where there's good chemistry, and then from there, it helps lead to winning. I think it's just natural that those are the types of guys that help with that chemistry, and they fit into what we're trying to do. And I mean, I wouldn't say that we're ruling out guys that don't fit in whatever category you'd think they would, but it's definitely, as we're doing background checks and as we're getting to know these guys through interviews or whatnot, I think we're probably drawn more towards the hard-working character guys that we know aren't going to be a lot of maintenance in terms of putting their work in and working on getting better. And I think those two things kind of go hand in hand.
Has your process of this whole thing changed at all, only having the one pick this year? Does it change things at all?
Not necessarily. I think it maybe streamlines how we're doing it, but I mean the draft it's 80% about that pick, but then it's still such a big process to where, you know, it's the type of thing where we don't have a second round pick, but like last year I was on the phone with Fred's agent midway through the second round, like talking to him about if this guy goes undrafted, we want him. And so, you know, we didn't have a second round pick either, but we were still involved in that. And you know, we bring in guys with that in mind as well, because the draft doesn't end as soon as 23 hits. Like there's still so many different players that we like and that we're hoping to somehow bring into our system. And you know, you never know when you might be able to get back in the second round, so you got to be prepared when that happens. And it definitely, everything is catered towards 23, but you have to have a much broader perspective of the draft.
A lot of the guys you've brought in are guys that can make threes and guard multiple positions. Is that a conscious effort on your behalf to bring in guys who possess those attributes?
I wouldn't say a conscious effort as much as it's kind of that's the direction of basketball these days. Like I think so many of these young players they're growing up watching the NBA and seeing all the versatile players and how they can impact in different positions. So they're coming in with the skill sets to be able to do that. And so it's definitely a part of the game now to be able to put guys out there that can defend multiple positions and maybe even shift over offensively and play multiple positions as well. And I wouldn't say we're doing it on purpose with that in mind, but it's definitely a part of the game now that we have to evaluate, and you keep it in the back of your mind when you see a guy. There's a lot less, I mean, years ago I can remember seeing guys that maybe didn't fit physically with the standards of a position, and you kind of be like, he's going to really struggle. Whereas now you can kind of see a guy being like, maybe you can just shift him over a spot and he can do something. You know, there's a lot more of that happening now, which I think you approach the draft with that in mind.